Welcome to Fierce, Fit, Feminine, and Other F Words, a place for women in business to learn more about health and beauty and how to show up more powerfully on camera, on stage, online, or wherever you want to be in the spotlight for your business. And I have the two top complaints of why my clients don't feel as confident as they'd like to for showing up in those places. And the number one is their weight or their size. They're not happy with it. And that's because most of my clients are in the over 40 club. And let's face it, life changes over 40. Even if you are still eating healthy, exercising, and doing all the things, our body changes, doesn't it? So today is not a lengthy episode, but it is a short episode to give you some actionable steps to start feeling more fit in your body. And when you do, you are going to feel more confident when you button your jeans and get yourself on camera or on stage for that keynote talk that you're going to be giving. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Before I get into today's topic, I wanted to let you know I have a free guide for you if you want to look and feel amazing on camera, on stage, or online. It's called the Fab 5 formula. This is the same formula I use for all of my clients to help them get all of the pieces of the puzzle together so they feel polished and confident and powerful wherever they show up. The link to grab that free guide is in the show notes. You can tap it while you're listening. Okay, let's get to today's topic. If you've been with me for a while, you may have heard some of the stories I'm going to share today. And if you are new, I want to say welcome. And if you're new and you really struggle with not liking how you look, you don't like your body, you don't like your waistline, your belly, your double chin, the wrinkles around your eyes, whatever it is, you are really in the right place. You are listening to someone who struggled with body dysmorphia in a very big way, so much that I also was a disordered eater. I didn't go into an eating disorder, but my daughter did, and I was part of the problem with that. And I'm going to talk about that today, but also I've been working on overcoming it, and that's why I do the work I do, helping us manage the balance between looking fabulous and not getting into the point where we are into self-hatred. So if you want more about how to overcome maybe some body dysmorphia, or you just look in the mirror and all you see is the negative and all you say to yourself is the negative, I want to refer you to a previous episode after you listen to this one. I think it's episode 52, and it's Harnessing the Power of Self-Love. I'm not going to repeat everything in that episode. Go back and find it after this one. But that one gets more into all the body dysmorphia. But body dysmorphia will be something I talk about today because it's part of my story. And a lot of body dysmorphia, people think it's just people that are size 0. It's not. It's people that are size 8, people that are size 18, any size. It doesn't matter. If it's something where you look in the mirror and you think you're bigger than you are, older than you are, worse than you are, that's some type of dysfunction in the way you perceive yourself. And a little backstory about me, I went through this whole thing in my 40s where I started struggling with really not liking my body. Now, I always was in fitness. And after having kids, I just had a hard time shaking off the baby weight. Maybe you can relate to that if you've had children. And I've always been a pretty decent eater, but I went into this crazy goal where I was going to get myself down from a size 6 to a size 0. Size 0 because that was my high school size in my denim jeans. Who on earth in their 40s should have a goal to go to their high school size? I don't know. I don't know why. It's not healthy. It's not necessary. We should never romanticize our teenage body, but I did. And you might be someone who does that too. And I just want to gently caution you that if you're striving to be a size that is matching your daughter, who might be smaller and wearing clothing you love, like I did, or your younger years and you still had clothes from high school and you were so excited that you could shimmy into them, it's a dangerous, slippery slope. And I want to just forewarn you that if you don't love yourself now, you're not going to love yourself then. And I can say that because that happened to me. And I really do understand that if you're listening and you're like, she was only a size 6 and tried to get to a size 0, that's body dysmorphia. It didn't matter. I could have been a size 12 trying to get to a size 8, or I could have been a size 22 trying to get to a size 10. It didn't matter. It was rooted in how I felt about myself. I got all the way down to a size 0. And you know, when you first start a weight loss or a fitness program, the first 10 pounds usually come off pretty easy. You're focused, right? You're super focused and determined, and it comes off, and then you have to work a little harder, and you start getting these compliments. People notice, and they say things like, wow, you look so great. What are you doing? Tell me your secrets. That's very validating, isn't it? And it keeps you motivated. And if you haven't been there, it happens. I just want you to know that, you know, the way we look really does play a role into social currency. I don't know if we'll ever be able to change it. I set out with a mission to try to change that a few years ago, and I realized I was hitting brick walls because we really do make split judgments about people without even knowing it. We really do. If we look at television, and it's not because we're judging them as a human, but if you think about when you were a little girl and there was a movie and it was a rom-com, a younger girl, and you're watching a rom-com, the pretty girl gets the boy and the heavy girl is the comedic sidekick. Or the heavy girl in the cartoon is the one that can't do anything right. And we have come a long way. They're changing that. But I wasn't raised with that mentality. And if you're in the over 40 club, like most of my listeners are, you probably weren't either. And that's not to say that if you're younger than 40, you may have been raised by someone who was also very self-aware of how she looked. Usually all of this comes from our upbringing and the people who spent the most time with us. And I was raised by women who really cared about appearance. Now, I was also in a sport where your appearance was judged. And a lot of this is tied to that. So if you're thinking, yeah, I want to be more fit, I want to look better, I want to feel better about my body, I don't want to dive deep and navel gaze into why you don't love your body in this episode, but I do want you to kind of think about and reflect, when did you first realize that your body wasn't, quote, perfect? When did that happen for you? And what made you think there's an ideal? And there are so many different ways that we can learn that as little girls. But I had a dance background and a competitive figure skater background. You're in hair and makeup from 5 years old. You put lipstick on little girls when they're in dance recitals, right? And I don't mind that. I don't mind lipstick being on little girls. But there's also a requirement for dancers to be a certain weight. And you may say that's right or wrong. Same thing for figure skating. But really, when you're being lifted by a partner, you have to be, if you want to be the person that has a certain role in a recital or a certain position in figure skating where you're going to be lifted by someone, you're going to have to be smaller, because if you're bigger, nobody can lift you. You might have been in a sport, any type, gymnastics, right? Same thing. Something in your background may have played into why you feel like you have to look a certain way. And I just want you to acknowledge it. And I want you to right now realize that those rules, you brought them forward into your adult life, and you're applying them now to you, the 40-year-old you. And it's not necessary. The rules don't apply anymore. You're not being lifted by a partner. My guess is that you're not a gymnast on a balance beam or uneven bars anymore, or whatever it is that you did as a young person where you developed these images of what you think you should look like. And if you are hearing people in your world always comment on other people's bodies, and they're people that were around you when you were young, they are also contributors to our body dysmorphia and our body image issues. I had that, and I am still around that. Women that raised me, that were around me, it's constant. And I don't know if I want to say it's generational. It could be. a little like the mature generation, the people that are 70 and older, they definitely were striving to be a certain size. And, a lot of the women, back in the day, they smoked cigarettes because it curbed their appetite and they were thinner. It was all about being thin, right? And the comments from people that are close to me, and it's just unreal. Whoa, you're really skinny. You need put some weight on. You look old when you lose too much weight. And then you put weight on. Oh my gosh, you put on a few pounds. You've been eating some of those cheeseburgers, things like that. Maybe you can relate to that. It's not healthy, but that's where it comes from. And that's when you have to decide, okay, I carried over some of those rules from childhood and I'm applying them to me now. I don't need those rules anymore. And I have these people in my life who are making these comments about body image, and I have to stop that. I had to put boundaries around those comments or boundaries around the people that made those comments, and it was hard. Putting boundaries doesn't keep them out of your life. You can keep them in your life, but it allows how much they're allowed in your life, right? It's to protect. I want you to think about a castle with a moat, right? The boundary is the moat, and it keeps the people in the castle safe. It's not saying that they're not allowed in. There's a fence or a bridge that will allow them to, open the fence or open the drawbridge to let them in. But if they start firing off with their arrows that are not healthy, bye-bye, you leave now, or you remove yourself, they're gone, okay? I want you to think about that for your boundaries, because those things, those comments people around you are making about bodies, and it could be your spouse or your partner, by the way, it is hurting you. And I have to get that off the table, because I was someone who was very aware of what I looked like. I saw myself in photos and compared myself to other people. I would walk down the street and say to my partner or my kids, is my butt as big as hers? And I'm being real here. I would compare. Like, is that my size? Like, I didn't know what I looked like because my image of what I thought I looked like was so distorted. I was starting to ask people. I also would get myself ready for certain events. And I would ask my daughter, which dress looks better on me? And I didn't always say it like that. Sometimes I would say, which dress makes me look thinner? Which dress makes my waist look small? Which jeans makes my butt look good? All things like that. And I have to tell you that I regret those comments more than you'll know, because in my daughter's senior year of high school, she developed anorexia, and it wasn't a moderate case. It was severe. We're talking liver and kidney failure. We're talking down to emaciated, eating 56 calories a day. I mean, I feel like I breathe and I get 56 calories just being around food. She was literally counting and was proud that she was hitting the 56 calorie a day mark. And I had to go in counseling with her to help save her life, literally, and learned in one of the individual sessions that I had with the nutritionist that that's where I came face to face with my own disordered eating. And what it was this me trying to get from size 6 to size 0 and her watching that progress. Now, this was not me causing her eating disorder. I want to say that. It was a whole conglomeration of things. I mean, she had a boyfriend breakup in high school. She had some stress in our family unit, stress. There were a whole lot of the perfect storm led to it, but I contributed. And I want you to be super aware if you're a mother or if you have young women around you, to be aware of these comments, because you probably are repeating what you heard when you were growing up, or you're not thinking. But what happened in my story was when I met with her counselor to help learn how to help her, to be more supportive at home, that's the come to Jesus moment where I went, oh my gosh, I'm not healthy. I have a disordered sense of self. Deep breath, lots to wrestle in my mind, a lot to come to terms with. And that is when the healing for myself began. And it began with her, alongside of her. I had to admit to her that I was wrong, that I was messed up. And I walked with her along her healing journey. Once you're in a severe eating disorder like that, she'll always have that haunting her, but she has it under control right now, where she's eating normally and she's happy and healthy, but it's always there. And I am always aware of my body dysmorphia. It's always there, but I take control of it now because I'm aware. But here's where I want to take this episode with you. There comes a point in a woman's life where we have to figure out when it's body dysmorphia, or is it I really do need to be more healthy? Because the positive body image movement will shame women for saying they want to be thinner and smaller because their waistline is too big. And we know that waist measurement is a predictor for heart disease. It's not the scale, it's not BMI, it's your waistline measurement. We also know, due to studies, that as our estrogen drops, cardiovascular disease increases. As estrogen drops, cortisol increases. As estrogen drops, energy decreases. When we get older and we start losing our reproductive hormones, our body changes. We do have to take control of those things. And if our waist is getting too big, that's putting us in risk of heart disease or some other condition in our health, it's okay to say, I want to be more fit and I want to look better because I want to be healthier. Now, the difference for me now is that I want to be more fit because I want to live a longer, healthier life. And if I look better in the process, bonus. When I was in body dysmorphia, I wasn't thinking about living a long, healthy life. I was thinking about looking good because I thought thin meant healthy. It doesn't. My daughter was thin and she was not healthy. And you can lose weight by starving yourself or eating keto or doing intermittent fasting and not exercising, and you're skinny fat. You're not healthy just because you lost your weight, because your bones are losing their density, because when your estrogen drops, our bones get more porous. So we need to find this balance between when is it vanity and body dysmorphia and when is it I just want to feel healthy. I want to be healthy. I want to button my jeans and feel good about how I look. I want to feel good about who I am and confident so that I can go out there and help the people I serve. That is a very long 16-minute or so introduction into what I want to talk about in this episode because it is that important. I am not in the body positivity club. I am in the self-love club. Love yourself where you are. I don't support obesity. I don't support thin as rail runway models and girls starving themselves and trying every diet because they think they have to be this size in order to attract a boyfriend or whatever the young girls are doing right now. And if you look on runways for all of the luxury fashion brands, and I love fashion, so I watched all the fashion weeks that we just had, they are skinny. I mean, so thin. And yes, clothes drape beautifully on them. When my daughter was first getting into losing the weight, when she was first losing weight, and I noticed how clothes looked on her, I complimented her for it. Should have never done that. Because all it did was validate she was on the right track and she lost more weight and more weight and more weight. And the thinner you are, you can wear layers. And you know, when you're bigger, you can't wear layers because the layers make you look bigger. So it's like this thing where we get in our head, I need to be smaller so I can look good wearing all these layers. No, you need to be healthy and fit so that you can live a long life and feel dang good because you can throw on an extra layer and know your waistline might be 3 inches smaller than it was 6 months ago and you're healthier for it. That, my girl, is the confidence we're going for. So how are we going to do it? First, you're going to evaluate where all the negativity came from in your head trash. I call it head trash. Who told you that there was an image? Where did it come from? Did it come from your sport? Did it come from a person? Whatever, through childhood. Figure it out. let it go, draw boundaries around people that make you feel bad about yourself, and then decide, do I have body dysmorphia? Or am I just in my 40s and my hormones have gone wackadoo? I am doing the same thing I've always done and I have this extra belly fat. Everything in my chest looks bigger. I have tricep fat that I never used to have. What do I do? I want to be able to feel confident when I show up. That is the next step. Now, once we know if it's just that your hormones changed and you're ready to get more fit, more healthy, so that you can live a long, healthy life and look good at the same time, that's what I want to tell you. I want to go through a couple things that you can do that can help you feel powerful in your body. Are you ready? Okay, let's get this going. Step 1. I'm going to probably say something that you've heard, but you wouldn't think about it in terms of what this topic is. How's your sleep? Okay, 40 and up. You are either in perimenopause, which means you have 7 to 10 years before you approach menopause. So your hormones are starting to fluctuate and your moods are swinging. Your cravings are all over the place. You have hot flashes and you're not sleeping well. When you hit menopause, that's a day in your life. You have to have hit 1 calendar year without a menstrual cycle, and that day you hit menopause. After you've gone 12 months without your cycle, you are postmenopausal. And I'm going to take you through this. So I went through my body dysmorphia transformation size 6 to size 0 in my late 40s. So 45 to 47-ish. And it wasn't that hard to lose the weight, to be honest. It was just focus. And what I want you to think about is when your estrogen is dropping and you're in this perimenopause phase, the one thing that you can really focus on improving is your sleep. That is not requiring you to do anything different in the kitchen or go to the gym. Sleep is key because that is when the body, it heals, it lowers cortisol levels, all of the things that help keep everything under control so you wake up with less cravings, because when we're tired, we have more cravings, all of that. So what is your sleep? And I don't take credit for this, but there is a 3-2-1 method to help improve your sleep. 3 hours before bed, don't eat any food. Let your body start to not worry about digesting more food. Let it digest its final meal. That means no snacks, no alcohol, no nothing. No food 3 hours before bed. 2 hours before bed, no work. That's really hard for me. I love to work. I get creative at night, and it's just not conducive to getting good sleep because then I lay in bed and I'm still having all these creative ideas. So I try to do everything so that 2 hours before bed, I turn off my brain so that I can just unwind. I'm creating a sleep system, a sleep framework, a sleep routine, whatever you want to call it. 1 hour before bed, this is hard. Some people really struggle with this. No screens. Do you fall asleep watching TikToks, watching TV, anything like that? You're not getting quality sleep. Some people say you shouldn't even have a phone near your head anywhere because of the radio waves or whatever they're called with the electricity. You know, I have it next to my bed on a stand, but you can go that far. I'm just saying the 3-2-1 method, which I didn't invent, it does help you have more quality sleep. All you do is drink water and herbal tea before 3 hours before bed. There's no food, nothing else. You're not working and you're off screens. What do you do to fall asleep if you're not on a screen? You read, you journal, something like that. It's just completely different. You pull out your clothes for the next day. You get more prepared for the next day. You just have quiet time and get your body ready. Sleep is key when we are over 40. It matters more. Okay, that's the first thing. The next thing is, I know everyone talks about 10,000 steps, getting your exercise in. Your body really does respond to walking like beyond what you think it would. If you could do 10,000 steps in one setting, like just get out there, I mean, that's going to be a few miles. And depending on how fast you walk a mile, it could take you some time. But what I want you to think about is the exercise quality, not necessarily the quantity. At least 3 days of exercise a week, at least. And when you say, oh, I don't want to exercise, I hate to exercise, I want to remind you that as your bones are getting more porous the older you get, exercise is what's going to keep you out of the hospital from a hip fracture. And you are going to be over 50 before you know it. Believe me, if you're over 50, you already know. You already know. And if you're not exercising, these rules, by the way, these guidelines for being more fit apply to every phase of perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. But in your 40s, you're going to have an easier time losing the weight and staying more fit and staying more focused than in your 50s. When you hit that 50 mark, the 52 to 53, when you're a menopause and postmenopause, it is more of a challenge to get the weight off. And if you're there, you know, it's different. So if you're in your 40s, I'm nudging you, get busy now. Your waistline determines your heart health. Okay? There's studies out there showing that. So let's just take inventory. When's the last time you took your measurements? And if you don't know your measurements, it's really fun if you want to start a fitness journey to take your bust, waist, hips, and thighs, bust at the largest part, waist at the thinnest part, hips at the largest, and thigh at the largest, and measure them today, and then take care of your health, starting with all these health hacks, and then in 4 weeks, remeasure. And you're going to see change if you follow through on everything. And that is your progress to feeling better in your body. Trust me. So if you're in your 40s, the weight's going to come off a lot easier than it's going to be in your 50s when menopause and estrogen is completely gone. You have to work a little harder and be a little more creative. But you've got to do some strength resistance training. And it doesn't have to be in a gym. You can do body weight exercise. But the strength resistance training, when I say that, I mean, I want you to picture bicep curls, lunges, squats, butterfly on a machine in the gym, or dumbbells in your hands, doing butterflies, right? Where your hands come together, open and close, back exercises. These types of things stimulate the body to keep your bones strong. And they also require a lot of energy and burn fat. So as the hormones are changing and we have more fat in our midsection, in the inner thighs, in the triceps, we're lighting a fire to that fat when we get better sleep and when we are doing weight resistance. If you're a cardio queen, hello, that's me. I would love to do cardio all my life, and that's it. I love to dance. I love to power walk. I love to move my body. I hate being in the same place, like standing and pumping iron kind of feel. I hate it, but I do it because I know that is the only way that it's going to change my physical form. In fact, I've been teaching classes in gyms for so long that I can tell the women who have never been in the weight room because their body never changes on the outside. Their heart and lungs are doing amazing. They've got the cardiovascular down, but they still don't like their body. And they say to me, I've been coming to these classes and I'm not changing the shape. Like I'm still big around the middle, or I still have these floppy bat wing triceps. And it's because they need to be in the weight room. The cardio doesn't work in your 40s and beyond the way it worked when you were younger. It's because of the hormonal changes. You need to change it. Actually, level 2 cardio, or the kind of cardio where you can have an easy conversation and keep going, which would be like a walk with a friend where you go 2 miles maybe, or 3. Like if you want to just have instead of meet for coffee or lunch, meet for a walk, go for a power walk, and where you're not so breathless, but you're actually getting some distance in and nice big strides. Your body is going to respond to that better than it's going to be in a super hard cardio workout. Now, that doesn't mean you should never do one. If you want to do a HIIT workout, which is high intensity interval training, if you want to do a Zumba class or a step or a cycling class, by all means, go for it. But that should not be your main source of exercise when you're over 40. You have got to shake things up and be less intense on the body. And let me explain why. When we have super hard workouts where our body is just like pummeled because we're exhausted. We killed ourselves. We're so proud. That was a crushing killer workout. I did it. Yes. It spikes cortisol in the body. Cortisol leads to depositing fat. It's stress hormone that causes weight gain. Now, it didn't used to do that when we had more estrogen. Estrogen would tell our body where to put fat. Now that estrogen is depleting, the fat just goes to the areas where you're seeing it go. In the belly, in the butt, in the thighs, in the triceps. These are the areas where you're seeing it in midlife. When you don't beat your body up so hard, it's more of a gentle workout. It might not be your favorite, like me. I don't love being in the gym lifting and curling bicep dumbbells and all of the leg presses and squats, and I don't enjoy it. That's not fun for me, but my body loves it. And that's when you see the change. And when I see my students from my group classes start going in the gym and lifting weights, even if it's only 2 days a week, their shape changes. Their waistline gets smaller. It's incredible. It's incredible, uncanny. And if you haven't tried it, that is what you need to do. So, yes, you have to exercise, but no, you don't have to make it killer hard. It can be easy on your body. In fact, it should be. So sleep and exercise. And the third and final tip is in the kitchen. And you knew it was coming, but if you want to feel confident in your body, confident in how your clothes feel, confident in how you're showing up on camera, on stage, and online, the glow and the beauty is coming from the inside out. The exercise we're doing is helping the outside. That's the outside in. The inside out is how we're feeding and hydrating our body, and you have got to take it serious, my friend. At 40 and over, perimenopause and over, the way you used to eat doesn't work anymore. I wish it did. It doesn't. It's not the same. And I'm not going to promote any one type of diet. I don't believe in restricting foods. I don't believe in saying, go sugar-free, go carb-free. I can't do that anymore. I used to. I was the queen of restriction. I was the queen of no sugar is going to touch my lips ever. And then I had a daughter that was eating 56 calories a day because she heard me say that. And I will never, ever in my life be a stumbling block for my daughter. And if she ever says, Mom, will you share this cheesecake with me? When I've been working on making my waistline thinner, am I going to put a fork in that cheesecake? You better believe I am. I am never going to be a stumbling block for another person to struggle with how much she struggled. What I am going to do is say, I'm going to fill my plate with the things my body really wants and needs, not my taste buds, my body. I'm going to eat more of that and have less of the other thing. So I'm going to eat more raw fruits and vegetables and eat more lean protein and healthy fats. And then I'm not going to be as inclined to have a full piece of cheesecake. I'll have some cheesecake. I'll have some chocolate. I'll have half a cookie. I'm not even saying that I should say half a cookie. I'll have the whole cookie, but I might not want it because I'm so full from the other things. But as I've mentioned in a previous episode to this one, the immediate episode previous to this one, I discussed how to eat carbohydrates so that your blood sugar doesn't spike and then crash. It applies to this as well, so I'll repeat it, but if you want to listen to that episode, it's just before this one. The way you eat your carbs, especially in the midlife years, matters. You never eat them alone. Pair any carbohydrate, and I don't care if it's strawberries, pair them with a fat or a protein because the body will not store it as fat immediately. When sugar in orange juice is the same as sugar in a Coca-Cola, your body doesn't care where it's sourced from. Yeah, there's vitamins in orange juice, but it's looking at the sugar. So if you're getting sugar in juice and sugar in a soda, you're still getting sugar. No matter what. Diabetics know this because they have to watch their sugar. If you're not diabetic, you're not paying attention to that. What I want you to think about is if you're going to eat an orange or eat a strawberry or eat a potato or eat rice, pair it with a protein or a fat or a both. Don't ever eat it alone. I don't care if it's a vegetable. I don't care if it's a starch. Pair it with protein or fat. That way the body is going to metabolize it in a way that you're not going to store it as fat. And one other thing that I want to talk about besides how we eat the carbohydrates is alcohol. And if you have any alcohol in your life, I have experimented with, I've done dry January challenges, and I loved it so much that I kept going because I felt so good. And now I'm back to, I don't really care if I'm drinking anymore. And the reason is how I feel. You may notice that you aren't feeling so great when you drink, and it's not necessarily in your 40s. But if you are close to 50 or 50 and beyond, you are noticing this. And that is because estrogen is gone, and that helped us metabolize the alcohol. Alcohol is a toxin to the body. The liver has to process it, has to detoxify, and you know that if you drink over 50, that you're waking up at 2, 3, 4 a.m. It's a given. So if you're in your 40s, I'm telling you, this is what you have to look forward to. It's awful. I was a little girl, and I remember hearing, when I say little, like 10 years old, and I remember hearing people say, I can't drink like those kids like I used to when I was a kid. And I used to think, what is that? I never really got it. Turn 50, I got it. I mean, at 50, I could still manage it. Over 50, once I crossed over the 55 mark, it's not fun. I enjoy wine. I enjoy a cocktail every now and then, but I do not enjoy the restless sleep. It wakes you up. It's terrible for your sleep. So if you are someone who enjoys wine every now and then or a cocktail every now and then, I'm not saying cut it out, but if you are trying to feel more confident in your body and what your body looks like, how your clothes feel in it, and you want better sleep, you've got to really think about the alcohol. And I'm not a proponent of day drinking, but I will say that if you're going to have a glass of wine, you might do it earlier, way before you go to bed, because if it's late in the evening, it's going to disrupt your sleep, and it's going to disrupt how your body is healing and metabolizing everything as you're sleeping. Because when you're sleeping, you're fasting, you're not eating, you're giving the body a chance to rejuvenate the cells and all of those things. All the healing is taking place while you're sleeping. Alcohol messes all that up, especially when you're over 50. And one glass of red wine is 135 to 150 calories, depending on the pour. And that's a lot. That is calories that they literally are not useful to your body. If it were money, imagine that somebody was giving you a $100 bill for 100 calories and lighting it on fire. That's pretty much what it is. You're burning up, you're burning money. You're using calories that you're drinking calories your body cannot use for anything. Nothing. Alcohol doesn't do anything except loosen us up, and it's a social thing, right? It loosens us up and helps us relax and have a good time. But the older you get, the harder it is to shake off the weight when you have it. So I wanted to mention that. I'm not trying to put a wet towel on anyone's fun, but when you cross over that 50 mark, you'll see. And this was supposed to be a shorter episode, and as I got in it, I realized there's so much to share that I want you to really grasp these three things. It's your sleep, it's your exercise, and it's your kitchen habits and your drinking habits. Those things, if you can dial those in the next 4 weeks, really pay attention, you're going to change the way your body looks. Even if you just start exercising twice a week, I would suggest 3 days a week if you're going from 0. But even if it's twice a week, weight resistance exercise, you're going to feel great. Go on YouTube, get a free workout if you don't have a gym membership. Do something like that. You'll notice a change. Take measurements today and then track them in 4 weeks, and I guarantee you're going to see changes. And then when you start putting on your clothes, your buttons aren't going to pop open in the chest area so there's a peekaboo to your bra, because it's going to fit better. It's going to drape. Your jeans and your pants are going to zip. You might get out of leggings and actually be in a trouser again. All of this is possible. And if it's something that you feel like I need help with this is something I just don't want to do by myself, I want to invite you to reach out to me. I do have a space for private clients. I do take private clients, and I would love to help you, or at least just get on a 20-minute free strategy call where I can talk to you and help lay out a framework. Because I know what it feels like to hate how your body looks. I know how to help you like how your body looks without being tripped up into body dysmorphia and disordered eating. That is my specialty, so that you look great wherever you're showing up and you feel great. And that's more important. That's all I have for you today, my girl. I'm so glad that you were with me today. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button so that you get notified for the next episode. And until then, have a fierce, fit, feminine, and fabulous day.